Welcome to my YouTube channel for art. Here is how I would work if I was going to design a comic strip or a comic book of some sort. Speed is definitely a must because there's lots of work to do. If you think that drawing a comic book is a day job, it's not. I've been writing a book for about 3 years. And I can tell you, if I had created my drawings a bit more simplified, I perhaps might have gotten further. However, I'm not that type of artist. I'm more of a detail-oriented type of artist. I like to see the fine works. As you can see here on the drawing, I really take my time in creating shadows, pencil drawing shadows. But what I wanted to show here in this video, I'm going to be creating a step-by-step tutoring in terms of drawings, how you're going to be putting a page together, where you should start, how you should work, what type of software you should use. So I would like for you to subscribe to my channel and I will alert you, and make sure you put on the notification so you'd know when all my latest videos will actually come to light. As you can see, I do it in several stages. So here is a picture of a group of natives, young men, standing around a fire, South American natives, and they're looking up at the sky because of something they've heard. I wanted to find a picture that would sort of give me a reflection of my idea. I also sketch boxes in, as you can see here. I'm sort of sketching in where I want to see ideas on what I want things to look like. I put them in various layers. That's why you're seeing they're disappearing and reappearing. Because here is a face layer I'm working on, and this face layer actually will change. I mean, you'll see later at the finished product. So I go through different faces because I'm not sure which ones I want to use. I would suggest, however, if I look back at drawing my artwork, I would do all the pages in very simple sketches, like you see in the lower section with this man, and then the way they speak and the heads. I would do sketches like this first. That would be the first step of telling your story. So you really want to do that on a single layer. I will call that the sketch layer if I were you. So I will go through what type of software to use, how to use color. I will go through that in my tutorials in my channel. It's a full set of videos that I'm going to be making, totally dedicated to creating your own comic book. For I've been working last 3 years on this book, and I can tell you there's a lot of work. So don't ever think that art is something that you're going to do in a half an hour and drop it, making a comic book. Nah, it's nothing to that nature. It must be a love. You must be driven. You must be committed to it. Commit your time, 1 hour a day or 2 hours a week, 3 hours. And then you will create small drawings, for example, your heroes. Now, whoever they are, they should be given, either you collect faces, like I've done here, of similar faces that you want people to look like. Here's a guy, I've used this face, and I would then sketch that and go from that, the characters that I'm looking for. So you really want to start doing that. You want to create a sense of who the character should look like. So first your heroes, then the characters that are going to be working with the heroes. I would definitely find those first. Here's a guy, I found his face. I thought it was pretty decent to what I wanted to achieve, and then I would sketch that on a layer into my comic book. So you want to do that. It's either a family member, you're going to take a series of pictures of them and you could add those pictures in as layers. I did not have that ability to take a camera and literally shoot everybody that I like, different angles, left, right, center, looking down, looking up. I mean, I would have maybe I should have done that perhaps at the beginning of creating my character. Now, if you're that detail oriented, sure, go ahead and do that. So, first steps, get your character, know who they are, write your story, very simple story. The simplest stories I think are the best ones. Okay, have a beginning, a midsection, and an end to your story, and then start doing your sketching. So once you do your pages of sketching, I think a comic book should have anywhere between 50 and 30 pages. You really don't want to have anything thinner than that. Then it's really not a comic book. Or you can do posters in this same kind of fashion. So what I've done, see, there is like an old drawing of Indians, and I wanted to have men around a fire, so I came up with that, and I sort of sketched my own ideas, as you can see. And I would just keep sketching and sketching. Then here's a layer of color, and I would add different colors. So the brown would have its own layer, the purple would have its own layer, and the green would have its own layer, and so will the black lines that you're seeing there would have their own layer. So what that does for you in terms of making a layer look good is you can turn on and off layers, and layers are basically like skins on a cabbage. So you can work on the inner layer, you pull that out, you work on that, put it back in. There's an upper layer of the cabbage, you can work on that layer, you can paint that one pink, and so on, if you understand what layers mean. A lot of people might not, but it's a term that I think is used in software, art software, if you've done any kind of advanced software design, or like Adobe, Photoshop, Illustrator. These things have layers. So most of the artwork out there, software, will have layers. And that's where you see I'm adding color here in the different layers. So I'm creating, here's a print layer, so that's for text. And I will actually write what I'm saying. That's my story being written out. It's not going to be the final work, but it's sort of what you want to do to start making your story come alive, right? The actual software that I use here is called Procreate. I'm not telling you to buy it, or I'm not reviewing it at this point. I'm just working with it and telling you what I do in terms of creating my comic book and how I would do that. So I'm going to be adding more pieces. As you can see now, I'm going to add a hut. And now I would say become a very good collector of photographs, ideas that you really want to do for your book, and then sketch, right? Like I found this little hut, I really like the look of it. I sort of wanted to jazz it up in my own style. I didn't use the picture, then eventually, I would create like an outline and I would kind of work, because I really didn't want to draw everything from scratch. I mean, that's not what an artist does. An artist creates. So, if you look at a house, that's a sketch artist, so you'll sketch a house. But if you're sort of graphically trying to get something, you should use a picture in the background, sketch that out. Palm trees, you see there, I've sketched those in by hand. So it depends on how you feel, what you want to do. But work as an artist. Don't work as a critic. Don't criticize yourself before you start creating. Just create. Okay, that's the best advice. Here's an animal. So I found an animal that I really liked. I've implemented them. I'm not going to use the animal. I'm just using the idea. You see, then I start sketching. There's lines. I've added more bamboo. I've added more branches. I've added some vines. I've added color. And I just keep working and working and working until I get the finished product. Now, if you look at the three men, I'm changing the one on the left, the faces, because I'm not really happy with the final look. So I'm going to play around with his mouth, and I've drawn a few different mouths. I didn't like that. I actually worked on ears. I worked on eyes. I wasn't too crazy about the character itself. And that's the hardest part, I would say, in your comic book, is really getting 12 to 40 poses of your character's face, and then you might need a body pose, so you want to do another 20 or 30 of those, and just keep them as drawings, and then you implement them on layers as you need them. Okay, so that's the basic. Those are the basic essence of my character building first. And I would encourage you to actually do that first, right? So you're sketching, finding out who is your character, their faces, the way they look, their hands, their clothing, things to that nature. Then you can start adding background color. You can put that in layers and work towards getting your finished page. Now, if you keep an eye on the guy on the left, you will see how he will change. I will change him because I'm really not happy. I'm working closer. I have a better idea, and I've got this face, and then I wanted to maybe have this type of expression that he's talking to his dad. So I'm going to sketch over that face. I'm going to create in a different layer a sketch idea, tear the face away, and now I get a face. See? Didn't like that one, pulled this one again. Here I'm getting an angle. I want him to be more friendly faced looking. So I sort of just use faces on a random. This is just for an example of where I want to go. But if you have a cousin or a brother who really wants to be the hero of your book, I would say just take pictures of him, and then you can overlap drawings over his face on this software. And this software, again, allows you to play with the color. You can add different hairstyles, right? So you're an artist. You play around. That's what you're here to do. You're here to create. As I said, be positive. And then here, you can move. See, they're all layers. I'm moving into place. And look at the guy below. I'm going to actually put clothing on him in a few seconds because his body, actually have created his body in a separate page, which I import. I'll go through all my courses, my videos. I will explain to you how that works. We'll go through that step by step so you know how to do that on your own. I'm working here on the Apple iPad Pro. So that is definitely, and it has the Apple Pencil. So these are the three things you're going to need with the Procreate software. You can get that in the App Store. So that's what I do. I'm not selling any of these products, and I wish you good luck. I think that this is a great way for you to start.